Okay, everyone, welcome to Koilul Kol Shira, of course, and Yeshiva Torah Shimon and Breslov Research Institute, Chaim Kramer, my dear Rebbe, so and Stark. And okay, so it's very exciting. We're starting a new sefer. Okay, we're starting a new sefer. It's a very exciting sefer. We're introduced. What's really very exciting is that we're mamash we're living the time. Mamash, we're living the time now. It's now Chodesh. We're in Chodesh Nissan. Today is Dalet Nissan, and today we read the Parshat Hanasi from Shevet Reuven, right? And we know that on Rosh Chodesh Nissan is when we had the Chanukah Mishkan. Right, that was the whole the inauguration of the Mishkan. It was the grand opening of the Mishkan. It was a very, 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 very special day for Klal Yisrael because we had lost so much with the Cheder Egel, and then all of the work that we put together and all of the donations that we made to give the money in the right way this time. Right, to give the money in the right way, not like we said, the way they did. They gave it for the Egel, and there was no accounting. Last week's parsha we spoke about when it came to Pekudei. So they wanted an accounting. They wanted an accounting. Where did all the money go? So Moshe Rabbeinu had to give them an accounting of all the gold and the silver and the copper and all of the skins and all of the wood and all of the donations that were made for the Mishkan. But if you notice, they never asked for any. They never asked for anything when it came to the Egel Azov. And we said that's the way the Yetzer Hara works. When you're giving something for an Aveira, go spend for a mitzvah. Oh, how much is it? Let's have an accounting and so on. So you see, it's very interesting. But we gave the money for the Mishkan. We opened up the Mishkan. So we know that really was the 23rd of Adar, which was the first day that Moshe Rabbeinu had erected the Mishkan, and he had done the Avodah in the Mishkan, and the Aharon and his sons were watching, and he did that for seven days consecutively. And then on Rosh Chodesh Nisan, he opened up the Mishkan. So we spoke about also the idea that the Mishkan is actually an extension from Har Sinai. And the same way, Har Sinai, the Torah was given me toich eish, with a fire, and therefore the kruvim that stood on the kaparas, which was the cover for the aron, which was covering the aron, the kruvim had to be made with pure gold. And we said that's because the pure gold is like the color of fire, and the words of Hashem went through there. And this is a very amazing thing. Vayikra Hashem el Moshe vaydaber elav me'oyel moyed lema. So here HaKadosh Baruch Hu calls out to Moshe, right? And he calls out to Moshe, and we know that this was a very interesting thing because Hashem was talking to Moshe, but no one else heard it, right? No one else heard what was going on. It was only Moshe Rabbeinu heard it. No one else heard it. And we know that Moshe Rabbeinu really didn't want to write the word Vayikra. He didn't want it to be like he's a Balgaiva, that Hashem is talking directly to him. He wanted to write more. We're going to see in a few minutes that he wanted to write the word Vayikar without the Aleph, which was the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu came to Bilam. When he came to Bilam, it was just more of a happenstance. He came to him. It wasn't an actual talking to. And then why was the Aleph made smaller? So we know that there's so many pshatim on why did he have the Aleph Ze'ira, this little Aleph. Why is the Aleph small? Why is that? and we're going to see about that in Me'etz Hashem as well. And really the Inyan of the Yom, and really so now we're living the time where the Mishkan was first inaugurated, and now we're living the time now, the days of the Parshas of the Nesiim, how each Nasi brought the sacrifices for their respective Shevet, and that was something very, very, very special. And there was a Yom Simcha really, and people don't really understand. Everyone knows that we don't say Tachnan and Nissan, right? Everyone knows that, right? Everyone knows you don't say Tachnan and Nissan. But if you ask people why, they have no idea why. There's no Tachnan and Nissan. Pesach's and Nissan. Okay, so Pesach's and Nissan. Why is it that the whole month of Nissan we cancel out the Tachnan? So if you understand really that the first 12 days, the first 12 days of the month, each day it's a Yom Simcha of its own, of the Parshas Hanasi, and then you had the 3 days, the 4 days when we took the Carbon Pesach, and then we had on the 14th it was the Chag Pesach LaHashem. That was the Chag Pesach LaHashem was the 14th, and the 15th was Chag HaMatzos. That was the Chag HaMatzos, right? So as you have now, most of the month is involved with this Simcha. So therefore, that's the reason why the Tachnan is canceled. But if people don't take advantage of and understand what the Parshas Hanasi is, and you don't see the Simcha in it, so then why aren't you saying Tachnan? You understand, right? It's just, you have to understand why are we not saying the Tachlis. So that's just to understand literally what's going on, and to have that understanding. Now I found some very amazing ideas here on the parsha, and I want to bring this in here. We're gonna let's look at this here. We're going to see some beautiful ideas. I think these are beautiful ideas, and it can help us out to understand really what's going on in the parsha. So here, Bir Rav Avram HaKohen Yitzchak, the Baal HaMashmoris Kahuna. Al Pi Ma Shamru Chazal, Omar HaKadosh Baruch Hu LeDavid HaMelech. Beautiful. The Gemara says this in Shabbos, right, on Daf Lamed, Amid Aleph, okay, there he says, Omar HaKadosh Baruch Hu LeDavid HaMelech, Ki Toiv Yoim B'Chatzerecha Me'elef B'charti. One day is better in your courtyard, in your court, than 1,000 things that I chose. So now they explain, what is that? Toiv li yoim echad she'ata loymei Torah b'chatzros Hashem. How dear, how precious is one day that you learn Torah in the chatzor of Hashem. Yosem me'elef olos, more than 1,000 carbon olos. The carbon ola we know is the fully burnt offering. She'asid bincha shleima lahakriv al kain kishaba. Okay, listen to this. Shlomo Melech, we know, built the Beis Hamikdash. Right? Shlomo Melech built the Beis Hamikdash, and he brought the karbanos in the Beis Hamikdash. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to David HaMelech, one day that you're learning Torah is more precious to me than those 1,000 oilers that your son is going to bring. It's a fascinating thing to understand that. And then 1,000 carbon olos. So I said, Dincha Shleima lahakriv al ken kishaba Moshe Rabbeinu lo hayres la'am Yisrael is dinei karbanos. And therefore, when Moshe Rabbeinu is coming to teach us the laws pertaining to the sacrifices in the Mishkan, in the Beis Hamikdash, Remez lahem Vayikra Aleph Zeira. Moshe Rabbeinu introduces it with a small Aleph, the Vayikra. Right? So many people are asking, why is it as Aleph Zeira? We said they really wanted to write the word Vayikar, but he wrote Vayikra, and Hashem insisted that he writes Vayikra. So Moshe Rabbeinu chose to make it with a small aleph. He made it with a small aleph. Some say, and that's how Moshe Rabbeinu got the Keren R. He had the Keren R panav. What was the Keren R? Some say that he took that little ink that he made from this and he put it on his forehead, and it came to that the great light. So Moshe Rabbeinu is teaching us this idea of the karbanas, and he introduces it with an aleph zeir, with a small aleph. Aleph remez le'elef oilos. Look at this beautiful idea. The aleph is hinting to the elef. Elef starts with an aleph. So the aleph of the Vayikra is hinting to the elef oilos. Shehem zeiros lifnei Hashem Yisbarach klape erech haTorah. That according to in HaKadosh Baruch Hu's eyes, Kiviyachol, HaKadosh Baruch Hu looks at all these karbanis that are brought, the carbon oilers that are brought, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's zeir in Hashem's eyes. Kiviyachol, whatever that means. It's small in Hashem's eyes. It's small in Klape Erech HaTorah in regard to, in contrast to the Torah, the value of Torah. Ubekach yada ha'adam es malois limud HaTorah v'is azar la'asik boy. And it teaches us the value of us learning Torah, and we should strengthen that. L'chein amru kol ha'isik b'Torah ki'ilu hikriv oila. If you're studying Torah and you're learning about the laws of Ola, ki'ilu hikriv oila, as if you brought the carbon oila. If you study the laws about the mincha, and it's like you brought a mincha. If you brought to study the laws of the chatas or the asham, it's as if you brought those. V'chein amru kol ha'isik Torah loy tzarech loy oila v'loy mincha v'loy asham. See that? The Gemara says in Menachos, Kuf Aleph, Amid Aleph. If you study Torah, you don't have to bring the karbanas. You only have to bring the karbanas if you're not studying Torah. The Gemara says that. It's amazing. Oy dear Rabbi Yehuda ben the Anan. Besifrei Lechem Yehuda. Sheba Moshe Rabbeinu L'Hoirei she'ikar HaKarbanos hu sheyazir ha'adam es atzmai liknois hachnoa v'shviras halev. This is coming that a person has to make himself smaller. We have to make ourselves humble ourselves, to teach us to humble ourselves. Kifi shenema zifrei elikim ruach nishbara leiv nishbara v'nitka elikim loy tivza. As we know the beautiful pasuk in Tehillim, Zivchei Elikim, the Zvachim, the Karbanis of Hashem, Nishbara Leiv, it breaks the heart, Nishbara v'nitka Elikim loitiv, and the person has a broken heart, HaKadosh Baruch Hu never looks down at that person. HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves a person that has a broken heart, but a broken heart for the right reasons. Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, Bo Rei Kama Gedolim, he says, let's go see how great. Yeah, let's open this up here. How if somebody is humble, how precious that is to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You know what the question is always asked: what is a person that's an onav? And what's the difference between a person that's an onav and a person that's a Baal Gaiva? What is the difference? The onav understands that everything he has, and anything he has in his life, and anything that goes on is only going on because Hashem gives it to him. It's all me'es Hashem. That's an onav. A Baal Gaiva is somebody that feels because I'm so smart, I'm so crafty, I was able to figure out how to amass this. That's a Baal Gaiva. But we see how important it is to be somebody that has a nemuche ruach lifnei hamokim. Shebizman shebeis hamikdash kayim odam makriv oila schar oila biyadai. when the Beis Hamikdash was around, and we had the Beis Hamikdash, we had the Mishkan, the Beis Hamikdash. When a person bisman Beis Hamikdash type of the makriv oila, a person that came and they brought a carbon oila to Hashem, right? Schar oila biyadai. He has the schar of the oila. He gets the reward because he brought the carbon oila. Mincha schar mincha biyadai. If he brought a carbon mincha, so he has the schar for the carbon mincha. Ava mi shedate shveila. If a person has he lowers his spirit, not in a bad way, but he lowers his spirit to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Malol of a kosav kilu, he could call HaKarbanos. The Torah comes to tell you that person that's an Adam Hashafel, this person that sees and he understands that I really have nothing of my own, it's all because of Hashem. That person, as if he could call HaKarbanos. He brought all of the sacrifices. Fascinating. If you brought an actual ola, so you get reward for bringing the ola. If you brought a mincha, and you get for the mincha. And if you brought a shlomim, if you brought a tamar, whatever you brought, you got the schar for that carbon. But if a person has his data yeshafel, and he realizes it's all from Hashem, a malol of a kosav kilo, he could call HaKarbanos. He brought all of the sacrifices. B'shnei dvarim elu liman haTorah anava u'shvelis. So it comes out that the fact that we could learn Torah, we said that how wonderful learning Torah is. That compared to that Kadosh Baruch Hu said to David HaMelech that one day of your learning Torah is better than 1,000 bacharti. What did we say that was? That 1,000 carbon oilers that your son Shlomo HaMelech is going to bring in the Beis Hamikdash. So you see the greatness of Torah. And here we now see the greatness of Anova and Shiflas. Loi rak shemaltem gedoyla, shemalasam gedoyla yosem me'akabanas, ela she'segulasam kayemes l'doyrois, their segula comes for all eternity, all time. L'chol doyrois. Gam bigolas she'ein lanu Beis Hamikdash lahachrir kabanas yochel adam la'asik b'Torah u'lisnaheg ba'anova. A person can still now. We shouldn't feel that we don't have the Beis Hamikdash, so we don't have the ability to bring the karbanos. Here we're learning that if you study about the karbanos, if a person studies Torah, if a person has a ruach shefela, that person is considered and compared to HaKadosh Baruch Hu to be brought all of the karbanos, and it's more valuable than the carbon itself. Here's another pshat. Let's look at one more pshat on the Vayikra El Moshe. Here we go. Here's another pshat. Mipnei ma nema b'Torah Vayikra im ha'ois aleph ze'ira ketana. Why does the Torah start and it's always written in the Chumash? It's written in the Torah with a small aleph on the Vayikra. The Balaturim Kosav Tam, according to the Balaturim, Mishum sheba v'neseinu harbe loy ratza Moshe lichtay ela Vayikra. Moshe Rabbeinu was a very big honor, and he didn't want to write the word. He didn't want to write the word Vayikra, right? Ela Vayikra. He wanted the word Vayikra with the word Vav Yud Kuf Reish without the aleph. Kefi shenema eitzel Bilam, as it was written by Bilam. Vayikra Hashem el Bilam vayosam davar bepiv. He put the words in his mouth. HaKadosh Baruch Hu appeared to Bilam, and he put the words in his mouth, and we know that we say those words every day. Matoiv oilecha Yaakov Mishkan esecha Yisrael. Matoiv oilecha Yaakov Mishkan esecha. Those are the words from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu approached Bilam with the word Vayikar. Ki'ilu lo nira elav Hashem ela b'mikra. It's as if HaKadosh Baruch Hu only came to Bilam in a happenstance. It just happened. It wasn't a formal meeting. He happened to appear to Bilam. HaKadosh Baruch Hu amar leMoshe, But HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Moshe Rabbeinu, Lichtov ba'alef. I want you to write the letter Aleph. V'pnei sheloshen vayikra mara al madrega gavoya yoser b'nevuah. Because the letter, when you write Vayikra, that shows the high level that you have when it comes to nevuah. Al pniyam, okay, mechavenes mitzad HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You see that what HaKadosh Baruch Hu's intent is. Now let's Moshe Rabbeinu lahaskim, abo miroivan benusai, kosav aleph zira. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Moshe Rabbeinu, I want to show that you're so special, and I want you to write it Vayikra. So Moshe Rabbeinu made a compromise with Hashem. I'll write it, but let me write it with a small aleph. Let me please write it with a small aleph and not with a big aleph. Moshe Rabbeinu is saying to Rabbeinu Shalom, fascinating how HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Moshe Rabbeinu was able to do that, right? Unbelievable. Is this the right page? Let me see here. This we did the, okay. Oh yeah, Nemuchei Ruach, Mipnei HaMokim, Shebizman Shebeis HaMikdash Kayim, Oda Makriv Oil Schar Oil. Okay, here we go. What page? This is Beis. Vayikra Kefi Shenema Bebil. Right, okay. I have to find the next page here. 1 second. So it's not this one. No. Hold on. Let me get the safer. 1 second. Let me get the safer that I took it from. 1 second. Here. Cool. Ella. Ella Vayikra. Ella Kegava is under Metoich Gava. Yeah, let's see here. We didn't read this paragraph, right? Ella his bivayim mikan ru'uyim sheliyos onav. Sheliyos onav. Efsha kishaf echad loy roya. Oh, here this is very, very important. Very, very, very important. Here, this is very, very important. Let's understand what an onav is. Let's understand this here. So he's bringing this down. Vayikra aleph katana, ba'alef nidei vayikra. Okay. Afarav nemuchei ruach. Okay. Is this what we're up to? This we're up to. Shol al kach harav HaKodesh Rav Yitzchak min Morocco. Right, this is Rav Yitzchak ba'avar Chaseira. Harei gam b'Parshas Vayisra onu meitziyim pamayim shekosa Vayikra Elav Hashem min Ahar. In other words, here he's asking a question. Here we're talking about this idea of the Vayikra, and it has the little aleph. But we saw in Parshas Yisroi, Matan Torah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu addresses Moshe Rabbeinu, Vayikra Elav Hashem min Ahar, Vayikra Hashem leMoshe el Rosh Hahar. Mipnei ma lo kasav Moshe af sham Vayikra Aleph Zeira. In other words, that was it's a good kasha. Here, this is not the first time that we have Vayikra when HaKadosh Baruch Hu was talking to Moshe. You have two other occurrences in Parshat Vayikra in Yisrael. So then why, the question that the tzaddik is asking is, so why now is it written with the little aleph, where it could have been written, he should have written with the small aleph there also? Ela Hizber, but he explains. Ama mikan roya. Sheliyos anav efshe kishaf echad loy roya. If a person's going to be a real anav, that's when no one sees. When no one sees how you act when nobody sees. Avalan venusay berabim zu loy an venus an evenus zu gaiva. If a person is going to try to act like an onav in front of people, that's not anivas. That's actually gaiva. The himshich lehis bezois. Kan the parsha seinu loishama ish es hakodesh baruch hu koire elav. Like we said, nobody heard that HaKadosh Baruch Hu was talking to Moshe. Nobody heard that. Nobody heard that at all. It was only Hashem with Moshe. Nobody knew what was going on. Nobody knew. Ela Moshe levade, only Moshe. With Divrei Rashi, Hakol hoilech umagia la'oznov. Rashi says HaKadosh Baruch Hu was speaking. But he was speaking in such a tone that only Moshe Rabbeinu was going to hear it. Almost like, sometimes they have like these high-pitched sounds, right? Like certain animals can hear the high-pitched sound, and others can't hear it. You can't hear it. You don't even know it's there. So too is HaKadosh Baruch Hu speaking to Moshe. Moshe Rabbeinu heard it, but no one else heard it. Hakol haylech magia la'oznav. V'chol Yisrael lo yishaymin. But no one else was able to hear it. The fichach ratza Moshe. And therefore Moshe Rabbeinu would lie once. Machmas anvunusai. Limat es chashivusa shel hakriya shekara elav Hashem. And therefore Moshe Rabbeinu is trying to lower. He's trying to lower his status of him, of HaKadosh Baruch Hu speaking to Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu doesn't want to take the spotlight on himself. He wants to lower it down. So Moshe Rabbeinu says that since no one else heard this, Limad es chashivusa shel hakriya shakara ela vayikra valichtov vayikar. I'll write vayikar. Why? Kifi shenema eitzel Bilam, because that's how it was by Bilam. So who am I? Bilam, if you can write vayikar by Bilam, you can certainly write it by me, Moshe Rabbeinu said. Ulam Sham beParshas Yisrael, Baha Kriya, b'Mamad Kol Yisrael. When it came to Maimon HaSinai, in Parshas Vayikra in Yisrael, Baha Kriya, this calling out, b'Mamad Kol Yisrael. Everyone heard that Hashem was calling out to Moshe. Hakol Shamu Isai. Everyone heard that HaKadosh Baruch Hu called Moshe Rabbeinu up on the mountain. Everyone heard that. V'im yavai achshav lemat es demus atzmai. And if he wants to come now to lower his image, mitoich his chashus ledavar shakol royu v'shamu aisai loy techshav zois kanava. Again, when you try to make yourself humble when it comes to the public, that's not anova. So now we understand. Moshe, when it came to HaKadosh Baruch Hu speaking to Moshe, and everybody heard HaKadosh Baruch Hu call Moshe in Yisrael. So there, Moshe Rabbeinu doesn't say, I want to make a little aleph, or I want to leave the aleph out, make it vayikar, because everyone heard it. And when it comes to the Rabbim, if a person tries to make himself an onav in the Rabbim, that's really only gaiva. Wow, unbelievable to understand that. Hakol shamu. V'im yavai achshav lemat es demus atzmai mitoich his chashlet ledavar shakol roya v'shamu oisai loy techshav zois kanava ela kegaiva. That would have been actually a move of gaiva. It would not have been anova. It's anvus mitoich gaiva, because that would be anivus mitoich the gaiva. So now we understand this idea. We can understand this idea really well. Here now, watch this here now. Here, the Yisrael, the Parshas This is Dalit. The text of Kanava. The Gaiva. Okay, fine. Now we got to do Gimel, but where's page Gimel? Hold on. Let me find Gimel. This is page. This one. Oh, here's Gimel. Okay. Let's look at this one over here. Let's move on to something else now. We'll move on to another piece now. Here we go. Taber al bnei Yisrael v'amart aleihem Adam ki yakriv mikem korban laHashem. Okay, so speak to the bnei Yisrael and say that Hashem wants that a person brings mikem korban laHashem. What does that mean? Let's see. Rashi says on that, Adam ki yakriv miken, Adam loma nemar ma Adam arishon lo hikriv. The fact that it says that Adam arishon was not makriv, he did not bring a carbon min hagezel. Adam arishon didn't bring the carbon from any animal that was stolen. Why? Shakol hayir shaloi. Because Adam Rishon owned everything. Aval atem loy tikrevu min hagezel. You also can't bring a carbon that was stolen. If something was stolen, you can't bring it as a carbon. It's our bia. We have to understand this. Harei b'kol hamitzvos matzinu shemitzvah haba ba'aveira psula. This is not a new concept. We know this idea that if a person does a mitzvah, but he does it through an aveira, so then that's a puzzle. It's not going to work. He gives an example. K'may lulav hagazel. Someone stole a lulav, and he makes the bracha al netilas lulav on it. You can't do that. The esrig hagazel. He stole the esrig. Shelo yitziyim bahem yidei chayva. You can't fulfill your obligation from taking something that was stolen. Im kain bevadei shegam korban gazel lo yatsu by yidei chayva. So now if the person, if it doesn't work by a lulav and an esrog, or any mitzvah for that matter, anything you're going to steal, right? Person steals a pair of tefillin. Person steals a talus. This is the parts puzzle. You can't steal these things. So then why would you think that a carbon that you could steal? Im came bevadei shegam carbon gazal lo yotzin b'yedei chayva v'lomer Rashi hoyet tzorich lahavi raya me'adam arishon shelo yehevi me'agezel harei zeh poshet gam b'li haraya. Why did Rashi choose to understand this idea, bring in Adam Rishon? And just like Adam Rishon owned everything and he didn't bring a carbon that was stolen, so therefore you can't bring a carbon from stolen. Why did Rashi do that? Oitzar Bia. Ma harayu raya haraya Adam Rishon shaloi hikriv min hagezel ulai hikriv min habehemis shel banav v'havei min hagezel. Hey, and here's another question. Well, Adam Rishon had his son Cain and Hevel, right? We know that Cain killed Hevel. Hevel owned animals also, so maybe he stole an animal. Maybe he stole an animal from Cain. So why is Rashi telling me this idea that you can't bring it from the gezel? Okay, you understand the question now? Here, Ubir Kosev Sefer Amuva Gemara, Rabbi Yochanan Kishahaya Mesayim Es HaSefer Iyav Haya Omer Seif Adam Lamas. He said, interesting. Rabbi Yochanan would say when he learned Sefer Iyav, Seif Adam Lamas. The end of every person is that they have to pass away. They pass away. The Seif Behema L'Shchita, and the Seif of the animal is to be slaughtered. Hakol Misa Heim Oimdim. Everything goes to that, is going to be, everything is in the world and everything will die. Heim Oimdim. Ikka hatachlis shel behema zu legia letikunai ayidei she'adam yisvada al hakorban v'sishchat v'yizroi dama al gabe hamizbeach. The animal, listen to this, very beautiful. The animal, you know, you have all the animal rights activists and all of these things that they have. You know, they said you can't bring an animal. Why you bringing an animal? What are you doing with that? But really, we understand that the animals really want so much to be lifted up. They want to be elevated. So the person takes the animal, and he made a mistake. And he says, he does vidoy on the animal. And he has charota, and he has remorse for what he did wrong. When that person does that, and then they slaughter that animal is elevated to very, very great heights. And look, like we said, every animal is going to die anyway. So here this animal dies, and it gets elevated to a very, very, very high place. But if the person didn't do the tshuva, and he didn't do the vidu the right way, and he didn't have the charota like he had, so then now maybe you're stealing something. Let's see what we're stealing. Zorek dama al yedei hamizbeach, v'yahara b'tshuva al yedei zeh sheyachshav shekach hayu tzrichin lasais lei atzmai. If a person realizes, wait a second, I'm standing over here now, and I'm bringing this animal as the sacrifice. Really, it was worthy that I would be the one standing there for what I transgressed. And I realize the same way when we do the kaparas, right? We take the kaparas, we take the chicken, right? And we say that this chicken should be my kapara, should take the kapara, and I should go away and I should be healthy and well. But if the person understands that, he realizes that this really should have been me. And afterwards, when he has the portion of the carbon that he eats, he makes the blessing and he makes the bracha on this meat. And this is the way the behema comes to its tikkun. Nimsa she'ema adam maybe carbon v'loy asa tshuva. Listen to this. If a person brought a carbon, but he didn't do the tshuva, harei zeh goizel es nefesh habehema shaloi ba l'tikuna. So if that means that the person takes the animal, and the animal gets put to death, and the animal's put to death, but he doesn't make the tikkun because he doesn't have the charat and he doesn't do the tshuva. So then you're stealing the nefesh of the animal. You understand? You're stealing the nefesh. In other words, the nefesh of the animal is not being elevated. He's holding it back. So that's what we're referring to. He didn't steal from the animal. He's stealing from the animal. Don't steal the nefesh of the animal. Shema maybe carbon belay also tshuva hareze goizel es nefesh habehema shalei ba l'tikuna. Because then the nefesh of this animal that came to the world didn't have its tikkun. Is there shama kosav adam ki yakriv mikem carbon? Adam lama nema. Why does it say adam? Ma adam arishan lo hikriv min hagezel. Shaloi gozel es ha-nefesh ha-behema. He didn't steal the nefesh of the behemoth. He did tshuva. Adam did tshuva. He felt remorse. He elevated the animal. That's what Rashi is telling us. That he didn't steal, that Adam HaRishon didn't steal. That the same way he didn't steal, we shouldn't steal. This is the deeper meaning what Rashi is saying. Not mama's stealing. Not mama's stealing. Because we said Adam HaRishon could have stole. Right? He had his son. He could have taken from his son an animal. But what does it mean he didn't steal? And why is Rashi bringing that? Because he didn't steal from the nefesh, he elevated the nefesh of the animal. Zeh shama kosev Adam ki yakriv mikem korban. Why does it say Adam? Lama nemar ma Adam harishon lahikriv min hagezel shalagozel as nefesh behemoth hareish la'achar shechota she'ochol me'etz hadas. After Adam HaRishon ate from the Eitz Hadas Taiva, the tree of good, the tree of knowledge, good and bad. Asa tshuva v'hisna mea ushleishim shana. He did tshuva and he fasted for 130 years. V'rak la'acha mikan hevi es karbanasav ve'heviam bekach el tikunam. Adam HaRishon made tshuva. He fasted for 130 years. Meo shleishim shana. V'rak la'acha mikan hevi es karbanosav. Then he brought his sacrifices. Ve'heviam bekach el tikunam af atem loy tikrevu min hagezel. You also don't steal, don't take from the gezel. Don't bring the carbon without making tshuva. You hear these beautiful words, a beautiful idea. Veligzo hazer dibra kosev loy ligzo kipshutai. So here is the deeper meaning. What does it mean to steal? It doesn't mean literally to go out and steal the animal, because that everyone understands. Like you can't steal an esrog, you can't steal a lulav. But this was something much deeper to come here to teach us. Don't steal the nefesh of the animal. Let's understand this for a minute. Let's understand how this works. You know, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Kuzari brings this down. Many Svarim bring this down. HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world with different categories, right? So we have a category of doimim. Right, what's doimim? Are all inanimate objects, right? So you have different minerals, right, and water, right, and rocks and different things in the world. Inanimate objects are part of doimim. They're part of this understanding of inanimate objects. Now, what's the next level up? The next category is tzaimeach. Anything that grows, all vegetation. All kind of plant life, all kind of trees, all kind of vegetation, that's all in the category of tzaimeach. It all sprouts. It all grows. The tzaimeach, the domain, the inanimate object, the water, the minerals, strive to raise themselves up to become a tzaimeach. They want to raise themselves up from their category, and they want to go up one category. What's the next category up? Is tzaimeach. Okay. And what's the next category up? Is chaya. Chaya. What's chaya? All living animals. All living animals, all living reptiles and insects, and everything is all part of this idea of chaya. Now, the tzaimeach, the vegetation, wants to become raised up to the level of the chaya. Right? The chaya is on a higher level than a plant. Right? So the plant, the chaya, the tzaimeach, wants to raise itself up to be a chaya. What's the next level up? Medaber. Medaber. A person, a human being. A human being, of course, is higher than the category of chaya. A human being is higher than the category of chaya. We understand that, right? And therefore, the chaya wants to be consumed by a human being, especially that'll make a blessing on the meat, and therefore it gets elevated to become part of the medaber. You understand? So each level, starting with the domain, all the inanimate objects strive to raise up to be the tzaimeach, and all the things of vegetation in tzaimeach strive to raise up to be in the category of chaya, of all kind of living beings. And the living beings, the chaya, is striving to be part of the category of the medaber, the human being. So inanimate objects keep wanting to be consumed by, they want to be consumed by plant life. They want to become plant life. Plants want to become part of the animal kingdom and part of the animal life. And the animals want to become part of the medaber. Okay? Now, so we're saying over here, when a person brings a carbon, he brings his carbon to Hashem. If he does the right thing, and he makes the tshuva, and he has the charata, so then he's elevating the animal. The animal is elevated, especially when he gets his portion, he makes a blessing on the meat, and then he consumes the meat. Of course, the meat from the chaya will become now part of the medaber. And that's what it wants. It wants to be always raising up. We all want to get higher. We want to go to the next level. So when the Torah says, when Rashi brings the idea that Adam Arishan says, that the same way Adam Arishan didn't steal because everything was his, so too we learn we can't steal when we bring a carbon. Shkoyach. Now we understand the deeper meaning. It wasn't mean that you can't steal. Because we said, what do you mean not stealing? We know stealing. You can't steal a lulav, you can't steal an esrog. You can't steal tefillin, you can't steal any mitzvah. It's going to be possible. It's not going to work. But over here, this is a much higher, this is much bigger. Here you're taking the nefesh of the animal. And you're raising, you have the opportunity to raise up the nefesh of the animal. The question is, are we doing that? So we're learning here that if a person doesn't raise up the nefesh of the animal, if he doesn't do that, he's actually stealing the nefesh of the animal. Now, how do you know about this idea of the nefoshes? How do you know all about this? Well, let me ask you something. We make the bari nefoshes all the time, right? So you eat something. You ever think about it? Why won't you make a bracha? You say you just had a glass of water, you ate a piece of steak, you had a tuna fish, right? You had some tuna fish or eggs, whatever you had, and then you make a bracha. Baruch atah Hashem, Elokeinu melech boirei nefashos rabbis v'chesronan. Hashem, you make all these different nefashos, you make all these different souls, and all of them, and whatever they're lacking, everything you take care of everything. Rabbis v'chesronan. Al kol ma'aseh barasa, that you are the one that created everything. Lahachiyos bohem nefesh kol chai, to have that the nefesh kol chai should be part of the nefesh kol chai. Baruch olamim. You see that? It's all in the bracha. It's all in the bracha. This idea of the nefesh. And when we make the bracha, we're talking about the nefashos. If we would understand what's going on in the food that we choose, we don't understand. We brought this idea many years ago. The idea, sometimes, let's say there's a plate of, you have a plate of chocolate chip cookies, right? And let's say they were even factory made, right? So every single cookie looks identical, right? If you make them in your house, maybe this example won't work as good because one may be a more geschmack cookie than the other one, right? But if you take out buy a package of cookies and you put them on the plate, and you put the plate on the table, you look at the cookies, and you look at one of them and you say, I want that one. And if somebody would take that cookie, you'd say, why would you take my cookie? But I'll say to you, wait a second, they're all the same. They're all the same. What do your cookie? They're all the same. No. You see, you have to understand that really when HaKadosh Baruch Hu on Rosh Hashanah, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu allots us what we're going to have for the year, all that He's going to give us for the year, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu allots it to us, He allots which rain and which wheat and which sugar and which chocolate and which all the different things from all over the world. HaKadosh Baruch Hu arranges everything, the one we're going to have that's mine, that's supposed to be for me, that I have the opportunity to raise up. It's connected to my nefesh. And that's why when I put my hand on the plate and I take a cookie, I'm thinking, wow, I need this one. Why? Because this one's attached to me. This one I can raise up. So now we're learning when the person took his animal, when he took his animal, and he understood that this is an animal that we have to raise up. And that's what he's trying to do. So when he takes that animal, and he does the vidui, and he says the vidui, he says the confession, and he feels the remorse, and he feels closer to Hashem, and he feels honored to be able to bring this carbon. He realizes it should have been me that was being sacrificed. He understands that. So when he does that, so he's elevating the nefesh of the animal. And the animal is so pleased with that. Because that's all the animal wants. The animal wants to raise itself up. It wants to be raised up. This is what the animal wants. This is what the animal wants, to be raised up. So if we only would allow him to raise it up, it would be mamash an amazing, amazing, amazing thing. Okay, so these are the ideas. This is some of the ideas in the Parsha to understand that this is really where the Torah, where HaKadosh Baruch Hu speaks to Moshe Rabbeinu the first time now in the Oyel Moed. Right, he speaks to Moshe Rabbeinu in the Oyel Moed in the courtyard of the Mishkan, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes to him, and he's teaching him this very, very important. Adam ki yakriv mikem karban lashem. Adam ki yakriv mikem karban lashem. A person that's going to take from himself. If he gives from himself, this is what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants. And this is the whole premise of all the whole Sefer Vayikra. Right? The whole Sefer Vayikra is the carbon, we talk about the karbanis. This is the premise to understand. This is how we introduced it. The same way we introduced the idea that Moshe Rabbeinu introduces with the small aleph. Why the small aleph? To show you that the Torah is more than 1,000 carbon oilers. The one day in Yom Echad, the Chatzvais Hashem is Yosem me Elef Bacharti. It's more than 1,000 of the carbonis. You have to understand. So Moshe Rabbeinu is teaching us that we have to humble ourselves. To teach us to humble ourselves, to take the appreciation of Torah. If we take the appreciation of Torah, it's as if you brought the carbon. See, you shouldn't have a chalisha zadas. You're learning about all these carbonis and you can't bring the carbon. Because we don't have the Beis HaMikdash. The mitzvah Shem HaKadosh Baruch Hu send us Mashiach and we'll have the Beis HaMikdash. But till then, no, when you study about the Karbanis, and you're being Mavis Sedra, and you see the Rashi, and you see the Unklis, and you understand what you're saying over there, realize as if you brought these Karbanis. You get credit for bringing them. It's fascinating. Every day, when we daven, and we say the Ezum and Kaiman, Shazvachim, and we talk about all the different karbanis. We talk about the chatas, we talk about the tamid, we talk about the shlam, we talk about the asham, we talk about all of the karbanis in there, all of them. When you say those words, realize as if you brought those karbanis. It's as if you brought them. How precious is that? To say the words like you mean it, to understand that I'm mamish getting the credit for bringing these karbanis. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is very good to us, that He lets us do that. It says on the Shalom Mefarim b'Sifasenu, right? We can pay back the bulls. We can pay it with our mouth. With our mouth, we can do that. Okay, so we're gonna. I thank everyone that joins us, and all of our listeners that will listen. Emetz Hashem when the shir goes up for the parsha of the week, and I wish everyone a wonderful, wonderful Shabbos. And please take advantage of the Parshas Hanasi. Please take advantage of the Parshas Hanasi. These days are such special days because these days are allowing you not to say the Tachlim. Hey. So take advantage of these days. Okay, everyone, shkayach, thank you, and kol tuv.